everybody back again to my channel, and today I want to discuss about chapter 3 about filter. And if you new at my channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as well, and don't give me dislike. Okay, right now I will discuss about filter. So the feature filter at the MikroTik actually used to distinguish what the packet data can enter at the router MikroTik itself or not. Packet data that handle in this feature, this is pointing to one interface at the router. You must distinguish function for NAT that handle packet data that across at the router and then change IP address from that packet. Even though this filter feature also handle the packet data that across from the local network to the internet. So this feature will can collaborate with NAT. Feature filter in the MikroTik have three feature. This is the input, output, and forward packet. In this video, I would just the fat feature from filter MikroTik become two kind. This is chain input and chain forward, whereas chain output that come from router itself we would not discuss in this video. I want to make this video as simple as to you as the foundation. If you want forward configuration, that's more tricky. Okay, right now I will discuss about chain input. So chain input at the filter, this is will handle the packet data that's pointing to your router interface. This packet data actually packet data that when you configure the MikroTik. For the example, when you insert IP address 10.10.10.1 at the router MikroTik, chain input, this is used to limiting the configuration to your MikroTik, because you certainly not want if the other people configure at your router is right. Illustration from chain input, you can look from the picture 3.7 that pointing to the interface Ether2 at the router MikroTik. Because doing protection at your interface MikroTik, so the chain input this is can implement at your two interface at the Ether1 and Ether2. Implementation chain input at your interface MikroTik, this is used to give protection to the access that could be happen from the internet, whereas implementation at the Ether2 used to protect the access from your network yourself, because this is not impossible if there are enemy at your network yourself, not from the internet. Is right.
Hey guys, before we discuss next further about my video, can we do subscribe? Thanks.
Implementation filter at the Ether1 chain input, this is pointed to protect port at the MikroTik that open. This is will limited configuration from at the outside internet from the people that not responsible at your network. Port open at the MikroTik as the default that often used at the MikroTik is port 22 for SSH and then 23 for Telnet, port 20 and 21 for FTTP, port active for Webfig, port 82 91 to Winbox. So the command that you can use for the implement filter at the Ether1 are like this. Okay. ether1 cannot ping from the internet, so you can add the configuration like this. Okay. With configuration before, so the configuration will look like this. And the index 1 is the configuration with additional configuration state equal established that have function to let packet ping to enter the ether1 if the packet source from your router itself. Certainly you still want if your router still can ping other PC, but the other PC cannot ping at your router. Right. Implementation chain input at the ether1, this is actually will appearing polemic. You want to limiting other people to access the MikroTik from the internet. But how if you suddenly want to configure your router MikroTik from the internet, you can sometimes still at the other city and then suddenly you want to configure and remote your router MikroTik from internet. So if that case happen, so you must let the specific packet data to enter at your interface ether1 at the MikroTik. So for the example, if you want to let computer with IP address 64.110.100.2 to make configuration at your router MikroTik with destination port 8291, so you must add configuration action equal with accept like this. There are a couple rules at the MikroTik, so the MikroTik will execute the command principle from the top to the bottom from your configuration. So the order from the configuration very influenced with last purpose from your configuration. For the instance, this is configuration that you already did before. You intend to give the computer with IP address 64.110.100.2 to can access MikroTik through the internet. The configuration above will keep not giving access to computer with IP address 64.110.100.2. So why this can happen? Yeah, because still remember, if router MikroTik will execute the firewall command from the top to the bottom. So when computer with IP address 64.110.100.2 want to access MikroTik at the Ether 1, so router MikroTik will execute with index 0 to take care of that packet. At the line 0, at the MikroTik not configured with source address, so the MikroTik will do action drop to all packet include with computer with IP address 64.110.100.2 that want to access the router MikroTik. So this is will causing router MikroTik will not use index number 3 anymore, whereas that one should let the computer with IP address 64.110.100.2 to configure your MikroTik router. The logically from the configuration above is how the possible if you already block all IP that want to configure at the internet, and then you still want to add one IP again that can access your MikroTik router. To make configuration can running suite with the scenario, so you must change the LAN configuration filter at the that router MikroTik. So you must placing the LAN configuration IP address 64.110.100.2 with LAN configuration source address 64.110.100.2 action equal accept. You must move that configuration at the first line from the filter configuration. So the configuration will above from the configuration that block all the IP to access your router MikroTik from the internet. So you can add the configuration become like this, okay? Before replace that configuration, if more better if you check first the LAN configuration with command IP firewall filter print. Whereas for the interface Ether 2 that's connect with computer local, you also can implement filter with chain input. For the example, this is the configuration that limiting access from network with IP address 10.10.10.0/24 in the network, but still give configuration access to SSH, Telnet, Ping, and access the Winbox from the computer with IP address 10.10.10.4. Yeah, because this IP address used for administrator. if you use Winbox, so the configuration can do through menu IP, firewall, and then filter like this capture. And to decide action at the Winbox, so you can access from tab action. Whereas if you want to change arrangement and configuration at the Winbox, so you can just drag and drop that configuration. Okay, for the next we will discuss about chain forward. Chain forward actually used for handle the packet that across from the router. Class look like the NAT that we already discussed at the chapter before. Chain forward indeed handle packet data that across from the router. That is packet that want to go outside to the internet or vice versa. Same like we already did with NAT. But the difference between two kind system is if chain source NAT from NAT, handle the packet data with change IP address sender. So if chain forward, this is handle the packet without changing IP address at the sender. To make more easy understand both the system, so we can look this display. Okay, at the picture above, look access internet from computer 10.10.10.2 will receive at the Ether2. Router Merotic will use filter with chain forward first for check that packet data. Then packet data submit to NAT that will change IP address sender from that packet. So we'll look if chain forward at the filter hold control first before chain source NAT at the NAT system. This make configuration action equal masquerade at the NAT doesn't work if action equal drop already running at the chain forward at the filter. Look like at this chapter. This instant configure so that NAT with chain equal source NAT already give full internet access at the all computer at the network 10.10.10.0/24. But configuration at the filter with chain equal forward just let internet access at the computer 10.10.10.2, 10.10.10.3, 10.10.10.4, and 10.10.10.5. Masquerade configuration that let all computer in network 10.10.10.0/24 to access internet, like this capture. Okay. Then do additional filter configuration with chain forward that just let computer 10.10.10.2 until 10.10.10.5 to access internet, like this capture. So result configuration will look like this. Okay. That become next question. What you must use chain forward if already exists masquerade configuration at the NAT. It's not that if block internet access like already mentioned at the subchapter masquerade feel enough already. If you already feel enough with network management with use NAT, so use chain forward not need you implement. As the default, chain forward already running and will give full access to the internet for all users. But if you feel must increase effectiveness network management at the masquerade configuration at the NAT cannot do that, maybe you must considering for use chain forward at the filter MikroTik. And for the next chain forward and content, you can use chain forward to block specific website from the internet or block user activity for downloading specific packet at the internet. To do that, you must use menu content at the feature firewall filter. This is I will show you configuration that will blocking access the internet to site www.playboy.com and to access download activity for MP3 file. use option content equal www.playboy.com if their computer user that entering word www.playboy.com at the search machine or search engine, so search engine will not giving result anything. For use option content with user winbox, you can do drop menu IP, firewall, filter, and then advanced. Remember always if order from line firewall configuration very determine effective or not final configuration that you need. So until you do block like before, but you placing at the below order line configuration that turn out give full internet access to user computer. Okay, for the next I will discuss about action equal drop versus action equal reject. At the configuration before, the option action that used to blocking internet access is drop. You can look this example that's blocking internet access for the computer client with IP 10.10.10.6 until 10.10.10.254 with use chain equal forward and action equal drop. You also can replace action equal drop become action equal reject. That same will block internet access to computer user 10.10.10.6 until 10.10.10.254. This is different between drop and reject. If drop that you chose is packet data that source from that computer will throw away be router or drop. Whereas if you choose reject, so the packet data will throw away be router, but router will give notification to computer user. This notification use ICMP protocol, Internet Control Message Protocol. Common example that you can do are like this, okay? When computer 10.10.10.6 until 10.10.10.254 do ping to the internet, message ICMP will get be that computer. Can look like this capture, okay? Back again, if action equal drop you use, so we'll look at the user computer when do ping request timeout. Okay, for the next I will discuss about address list at the MikroTik. Router MikroTik serve feature address list to pointed specific IP address with name. This feature can use for declaration IP address or to necessary logging to make node network activity. Make declaration IP address become name will make you not tricky to manage your network. If one day they are changing IP address, for the example, if you want to giving as fast as the configuration for administrator with IP address 10.10.10.5, and then suddenly the administrator not want to use that IP address anymore and want to change with IP address 10.10.10.3. This is will make you must change all configuration that related with filter and NAT as well. With use address list, you just need to giving declaration if the IP administrator already changed with different IP address. This is example how to declaration IP address at the network and include with IP computer administrator as well. If you want use space at the LAN configuration, use mark like option list equal local network, like LAN configuration capture. Next, if you want to configuration at the port firewall, you not need read again IP address 10.10.10.0/24 or 10.10.10.5. This instance showing how use address list at the NAT configuration. That capture configuration mean giving internet access that full to administrator computer. Mark with source address list equal PC admin. But that configuration just giving access browsing internet HTTP or HTTPS at the other computer. Mark with source address list equal local network. If when the administrator computer move again, so change configuration just need at the address list, not need you do at the firewall. This example showing changing IP address at the address list declaration. For configuration address list through Winbox, you can do through menu IP and then firewall and then tap address list. Whereas if when use source address list at the NAT configuration through Winbox, you can do through menu tab advanced. Other instance, you can use address list to look IP address from computer that use trying ping or configuration access Winbox SSH telnet to your router. Command that you can use are like this, okay? you want use Winbox to do configuration with option action equal add source to address list like capture screen. So menu that can use are API and then firewall, filter, button add, and then tap action like this capture. If there are computer user that try duping or configuration from local network through interface Ether2 at your router, so IP address from that computer will insert into address list like this capture. Next step, you can manage IP address that save already at the address list with use other firewall configuration. For the example, you want block access from computer that register already at the address list before. Command that you can use are like this, okay? You also can collaborate between use address list with network address translation at the firewall. Okay, yeah, I thought I'm already finished to talking all about filter at the MikroTik. So don't forget to look my video for next my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well. And I hope you enjoy my video. Okay, see you later.
Hello everyone, if you are new at my channel, don't forget to like, comment, share, tag, and subscribe. Okay, thanks.